welcome to the 9 o'clock hour of Rapid Dawn right here on Rapid TV. My name is Martha Alu.
And my name is Victor. Okay, glad to have you back on the 9 o'clock hour. Of course, it is time for the big conversation.
Yes, and the big conversation, of course, stems from a conversation that has taken center stage in the social space, which is basically allegations that a former state governor, particularly Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, unlawfully intercepted and subsequently leaked a private conversation involving Nigeria's sitting national security advisor, particularly one reportedly touching on the importation of a hazardous substance such as thallium sulfate. Elevate this matter beyond politics is what these allegations have done. If true, such actions would implicate fundamental constitutional protections under Section 37 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, which guarantees the privacy of citizens, their homes, correspondence, telephone conversations, and telegraphic communications. Now, beyond constitutional privacy protections, the Cybercrimes Prohibition Prevention Act of 2015 criminalizes unlawful interception of electronic communication. So it's not as though, should I say tapping of phones now, intercepting electronic communications, it's not as though it is entirely wrong, but unlawful interception of communications like that is what is actually wrong. Now, while the Nigerian Communications Act of 2003 strictly regulates the circumstances under which communications may be lawfully intercepted, typically requiring proper authorization and national security justification, the gravity of this allegation is twofold. First, the potential compromise of classified national security communications, and second, the possible breach of constitutional and statutory safeguards designed to prevent the weaponization of surveillance tools. And this is the conversation we'll be discussing on today. What is the implication of these allegations? What is the, I won't even say it's an allegation, because the person in question said it on national television that he tapped the phone of the National Security Advisor.
Right.
And what are the implications of this? What are the implications of the importations and the leaking of the conversations that was had? This is the basis of our conversation this morning. And to have that with us is Mr. Prince Kevin Fynface. He is a security consultant. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, good morning. Welcome.
It's good to have you join us.
I guess Happy New Year to you. I don't know.
Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year.
This year, actually.
Happy New Year. Right. So, Mr. Fynface, I have already been able to spell out the framework of the conversation we're having this morning and the modalities, the provisions by the law. But would like to hear from you, your perspective as a security consultant. What do you make of this scenario?
Well, you know, I mean, Edify's testimony, if I may put it that way, it indicates, if I put to play, what is going on behind the scenes before now.
Okay.
If you can remember, a few years back while he was a governor, there were allegations of him also, you know, procuring Pegasus, which is the Israeli software designed to hack people's phones without their knowledge. So monitoring citizens of the state and other political opponents. And we saw where actions were taken. Some people had very private discussions, you know, were apprehended. We have cases of those who even disappeared, as alleged, you know, while he was a governor, you know. And so, if he's out to tell us what is going on, I mean, it's not new. Because he's very privy to the information. The thing is that he's been able to now put that to the understanding of all Nigerians. It's the, if I can't benefit from it, nobody should benefit from it. Kind of thing, you know. It's like when the thief is caught, decide to call other thieves in the neighborhood. So I mean, that's what it is. But for citizens, we need to be concerned. One, data protection is something that is part of our fundamental human rights.
Absolutely.
That's why we have the Data Protection Act. We have the Cybercrime, you know, Act also that has been put into action. With all of this, you know, corresponds to our constitutional rights, you know. But we have a country where anything goes. As we speak, I don't think we're all safe. By default, our phones are basically our undoing also. It's an about for us. Because your phone can be tapped from anywhere in the world. Your phone is your companion at the same time, a major security risk to you. Your microphone on the phone can be activated from anywhere in the world. Or once your email is you know accessed, or your SIM cards can be used against you in some kind of way. So It's not something that is new.
I thought manufacturers of these actually debunked it, because there was a time where there is this widespread notion that when you say something, it still does happen. When you say something, the next minute you go online, you have suggestions of that thing. Let's say I want to eat cake. The moment I leave here, I would see suggestions of that on my Instagram and other social media channels. But when I think at some point X was sued, the owner of X was sued for that, and they came out to say it's false, none of such happens. But that's what you're saying now.
No, it does. It does happen. The algorithms, you know, your phone currently have applications that automatically monitor. Even if you use an iPhone, you have a Siri.
Okay.
If you use a Google, you have, you know, a Google Assist. And all of these things are, you know, designed to get to know what you think of per time as you communicate them, either via text or via speaking. So if you do not disable those things in your phone, they continually monitors you, because you are a product that is sold to advertisers. So they want to know what you like, what you do. So the algorithm takes that information, the intelligence goes around and brings the information that you've been talking about. I mean, so it's like miracle. You know, you talk about cake and you're seeing cake everywhere at different times.
Those suggestions going to come on board.
No matter how you think it's not possible, it is not a coincidence to see those things happening. It means your phone monitors you. You know, and so you have to be careful what you say when you what you do at a time. If the state have interest in you, of course you'll be of, you know, of person of interest, and you'll be monitored. To the extent that even your WhatsApp that is presumed to be safe, your add an encryption, is not also safe, because these are open-ended applications, right? And so when they write codes to protect them, other people also write codes to, you know, just decrypt them, so that before you know what's happening, you thought it's private conversation through WhatsApp. BlackBerry went dead because of this, in the ability to want to be able to do a closed-ended communication.
It didn't work out for them.
It didn't work out for them, because when UAE said, no, look, you can't do this because we need to protect our people, not protecting the people because they want to be able to talk about it. India did the same thing, and the next we saw BlackBerry falling down. You know, and so.
But let's talk about, because you've talked about cybersecurity as it is, right? And sometime yesterday we read on the news that Nigeria is prone, I mean, per week, over 4,000 organizations are attacked, you know, they experience cyber attack here in Nigeria, over 4,000 organizations.
Which is what they can count, right?
Which is what they can count, not based on data. But let's talk about the vulnerability of it, and again, the legality of these situations. The NSA, you know, it's someone of high value, but of course we're going to continue this conversation in a Welcome back. We sincerely do apologize for that breaking transmission, but of course we're still watching Rapid on right here on Rapid Television, and of course it is still a big conversation, and we've had the pleasure of having Prince Fynface Kevin. I've been talking about the vulnerability of the Nigerian security architecture, especially the allegation that El-Rufai made that he tapped the phone of the NSA. But I was about to ask a question about the vulnerability of the security agencies we have in our country, Nigeria. I do recall that sometime last week, when one of the colonel was actually attacked and then killed during the time where the insurgency was, you know, so high.
In Borno, I think.
Exactly, in Borno State. It was said, allegations were there that his whereabouts was leaked due to the fact that his phone also was tapped. That led to his killing, according to the allegations as it is. Now, we're also seeing El-Rufai coming out to say that he tapped the phone of the National Security Advisor. Now, he's doing this not as a not as a military personnel, you know. But what does that tell you about the vulnerability of the security architecture we have in our nation?
You know, first you want to be sure that what El-Rufai said, he actually had the capacity to tap the phone lines of the NSA. You know, if you look at his antecedents, El-Rufai is somebody that, you know, who sometimes you look at him as a rabble rouser. You know, somebody who will want to say things, you know, amplify things that are very minor. But again, while he was a governor, like I said earlier, it was alleged that he had a Pegasus, you know, installed in his control center, where he monitors the phone lines of persons of interest to his government.
Right.
Okay. And that could have been extended to the national sphere. And I know for a fact, as someone who has been in this country and as a consultant, the country of automatically have, you know, technology in that regards, where they monitor, you know, certain person's phone line. We've seen that happen with what happened with the coup that was recently, you know, aborted.
Right.
We heard from all of the investigations that were done, some of those lines were tapped. So if the NSS line is tapped, there's no denying the fact that El-Rufai will have 1 or 2 persons in the cabinets or within the circle of the NSA to be able to give him information. Nigeria is a cobweb nation where you find that people cannot completely tell you that they operate independently so. So El-Rufai's statement should be a thing of concern to us. It's a good thing that is bringing to the fore. So Nigerians now need to begin to ask questions. Unfortunately for us, we are not participatory in our governance system. We have the National Assembly that's supposed to be our representatives, which means we are supposed to hold them to account. In a Senate climb, when something like this happens, what we will do is to call our representatives to say, look, probe this thing, give us answer. Let's be sure we're protected. We can't use the state against us. The state is meant to protect us. So if there's something like this going on, it becomes a thing of interest to every citizen of this country to want to know why it has been going on, right? And so that is a concern for me. The other factor is to look at the political permutations around this whole thing. Why is it making this statement at this particular time now? Right. Is it trying to, want to whip up sentiment so as to win more support? Because the victim is always supported. Yeah. I mean, it's a game.
We are more emotional than logical.
Yeah, so it's a game. So if he's playing the victim card right now, it means what's the political interest for that? And so if you look at it, there's a political benefit for whatever he's doing. You saw what happened yesterday when he went to the EFCC's office. It was more like a jamboree. The protest, I mean, people were on rally following him to go. For the first time we're seeing that happening. Why would it be so? Why do we have to make all of this fanfare? El-Rufai himself had picked up people without necessarily following due process. I mean, it's there. It's there in the records. While he was the governor, while he was the minister of FCT, we've seen where he disobeyed law, the court orders to go ahead with demolitions. And so now the same person is whipping sentiments and having a lot of people because many people are jobless. I mean, I'm sorry to say, the government oftentimes impoverish the people for the purpose of utilizing them for things like this. And so he has been part of those who were responsible in bringing this government of today to play. You heard his testimonial when he confessed that the election was even won by, the so-called P2B and all the things they did. He was not arrested. He was not called to question by the government. That tells you something. So for this allegation now that is going on, you notice the DSS had actually filed cybercrime charges. You question want to ask, the charges they filed now, allegedly, so if it is true, are they related to the statement they made? Because you might file a charge that is not in place with the act that has been done, and the court could just strike it out. Are they just filing charges to also whip sentiments, to make us feel like they're taking actions? So that's who have some kind of information, we know that, okay, they can buy it. Are they the people that are supposed to file for charges? And so you want to ask those questions, because if you don't ask those questions to understand that whoever that is the prosecuting authority is responsible for that prosecution, then we're missing it completely.
Mr. Fynface, before we go on with that, Nigeria is a country where we have seen over time that Boko Haram, ISWAP, all of these terrorist groups, they make use of social media. They post ransoms, they brutalize their victims in the eyes of the public. The same social media that the government claims they cannot get a hold of these criminals. They don't know where their hideouts are. They don't know where these people are. This is the same government that an individual has come out to boldly say that he tapped the phone of the national security advisor of a country. What does this tell you about the security situation in Nigeria? Because we're at a very fragile state in our country's security system. Just yesterday, we heard that the US had 3 jets land in Nigeria, one in Sokoto, one in Borno, one of different northern states of Nigeria with weapons just to fight the insecurity. But we have what it takes from the, should I say, allegations, from the claims made by the former Kaduna State governor. Nigeria has what it takes. What would be your take on this?
Well, first thing we need to understand that the current insecurity we have in the country is riddled with what I would call the going concern economics. People are living fat, feeding fat from all of this insecurity. And as such, it will continue. That's the reason we're not getting it to be abated, right? It's so inabated that all around that, how is it possible? If you look at what happened to the colonel that was, killed while trying to, protect this country, the fact that his communication was leaked so there are insiders who were responsible for this. It wasn't like his phone was tapped. It was somebody who was giving information. As
he
to where,
actually called.
So If he was able to escape and say he was alive and he was sending messages and this happened, we've not seen the investigation. The press has not gone, journalists have not gone out to begin to do investigation journalism to know what really happened. Who leaked that information? We saw what happened a few years back with the embassy group and the police officer who leaked the information to those who are going to his group and they were ambushed. And we lost many men, officers and men, and that's, I've also lost a friend, you know, in that experience. So when you look at all of those skirmishes, it tells you one thing. It tells you that the level of insecurity we have in the country is a type of insecurity that is encouraged by a few state actors and non-state actors because of the benefit that you know, is agreeable to them. And that is why they've not been able to completely take care of this whole thing. You have ethnic religious sentiments that fuels insecurity in the country. You have, according to Gumi, economic, you know, benefit that also, you know, fuels insecurity. You also have political considerations that fuels insecurity in the country. Make the government of the day look so bad so that the people can lose their hope in the government and change the government. We saw that what happened during 2015 general elections, where Jonathan was, you know, presumed to be clueless and all of that, and there was a change of government. And now we're looking at a situation because history repeats itself in some kind of ways when the people who are involved fail to take note of the reality that's expected. That's why I blamed us, citizens, for not participating in the governance processes. Until we are fully involved in the political process, so we begin to find ourselves in this vicious circle. So to your question, it's that easy. The NSA's office happens to be the coordinating office of all their security architecture in the country. It's a security advisor. It's not superior to the DG of DSS. No, it's not superior to the you know, the Minister of Defense. It's an advisor standing on behalf of the president. So he coordinates all of the activities and reports same to the president, who will not be, the president is the commander-in-chief, but he needs somebody who will be the ears, eyes, and all of that to get timely information. He also interfaces to ensure that they get what they need if there are emergencies, all of sorts. So if the NSS line is bugged, so to speak, so it means the hunter has been hunted in this sense, right? Why should it be so? And who is the person who is currently hunting the hunter and that is left, you know, free without any consequences? We need to go deeper. And so I don't want to go on the window dressing aspect that we're doing currently, which is that we talk about this whole thing with sentiments. What are we doing beyond the conversations? Who are those involved? I mean, we saw what happened with the U.S. files when Snowden. Epstein. You know, no, the Snowden experience when he leaked information to the world, released all the information that's needed. They were able to trace how it all happened before he escaped.
But do we have those mechanisms, or what those dates are
we do have the mechanism. See, Nigeria have fantastic young men and women who are so tech savvy. But the only challenge is that because of the poor remuneration, they can be easily bought. We have a very poor welfare system, so to speak. So people who occupy some of these key positions are also double agents, if I may use the word. They are also double agents, frankly speaking. Because you see them, they're working for the government, but they also have political benefactors that was responsible for their employment, then also sustains them, giving them the type of lifestyle they're having beyond what the salary can take care of. I know of a politician in this country who is currently occupying a very key position in this country, who for 2006, and I get to meet him, has been sustaining some key persons in INEC, in police, in the judiciary, in all sectors of the economy, and they are still there. Some of them have retired, some have become some were level 8 officers, but today they are directors, and this man has been sustaining them from 2006 to this time.
But what do you mean by sustaining?
I mean, he gives welfare.
Well,
so they are always at his beck and call. So some of those persons who have not become directors will always do his bidding. Or some of those who end up becoming judges or to become justices will always do his bidding if he has a case in the court. If he doesn't have a case in court, he actually facilitates, you know, if you have a case, you meet him, then the case is resolved. We listened and heard from the Senate senator who said politicians come to him to talk to his wife, who was a then court of appeal justice. You know, so we heard that. It's not like it's new. It goes on.
But, you know, you have made mention of the fact that the Office of the National Security Advisor is advisory. which means that, you know, the DSS is higher than him. But we also cannot...
Not in the context like
I get it. I still occupy...
It's not superior.
Not superior,
yeah, so,
rather. But I still acknowledge
the fact... But since it's an appointment of the president, it's assumed that it's the president.
Okay. Right. So he speaks on behalf of the president.
Right. So
which
there's
means,
a level of, you know...
clearance that he has.
that has to be...
But which means he handles classified information, interagency, counterterrorism strategies. He handles this information. And the breach of his line or his security framework is
a major security threat.
It's a major security threat.
It's a national security threat.
Exactly. Seen as Nigeria is at a very vulnerable state. We have had attacks here and there in different parts of the country. Now, you also made mention of the fact that it is beyond stating the problem, but what can we do to solve the problem? From your perspective as a security expert and an analyst, an expert as well, what security framework or cybersecurity framework do you think that the government or the office of the NSA can put in place to ensure that there is no breach? Because a breach to his security framework is a breach to the security framework of the entire country, which means that you're not safe, I'm not safe.
Yeah, you know, here's the thing. In the security circle, there's what they call the need-to-know basis. It's also there in oath of secrecy as a country. The Act 1963 ensures that what you know needs to be only told or it's disseminated based on need-to-know principle.
Okay.
It means that there are levels that are already outlined for information to be disseminated. And so what we simply need to do first is to be able to look at our country and ask ourselves, do we truly have a national security policy that covers cybersecurity, data protection, physical security, economic security, religious security, and all of those other gamut of security you want to talk about? Do we truly have a national security policy that covers all of this?
Do we?
The question you asked me is the question, if you ask me, what do I ask? You know, kind of. We've had different NSAs coming up with, you know, conferences and proposals in that regard. But I haven't seen a template designed for a national security policy. While I was a senior legislative assistant to one of the members back in the days, would actually submitted a memo to that regard for a national security policy and a national security communication policy. National communication security policy. Those are two different things. Our communication security is as important as our national security. It is in the place of the communication security that you'll be able to tell what goes out when and where it goes out to. Excuse me. We have phones, data banks that is being managed by foreigners. The Chinese, for instance, in Abuja, must say this, manages all our, through their company, Huawei, manages all our data banks for the telecom operators. They provide the servers that is used for our communication, which means they have access to our first information before any other person does. I mean, a few years ago, I've had the privilege also to know Nigerians who work with them don't even have access to the internal information. They do. And so what they simply can do, they can use that as espionage and send that information to their people, analyze that information, come back with products and services that we need based on our, based on our conversation, right? So what are we doing? To have an homegrown technology that will serve us like other countries do. We saw what happened with the AU headquarters, how the Chinese beat that place, bugged the place, and they only get to find out after a few years that the place was bugged by the Chinese whenever they have meetings. So what are we doing to protect our data? I know for a fact, wherever the president goes, there's an encrypted device that follows him alongside to ensure that communications are not exposed in the manner that it should not be exposed. But the truth is, if that device is bought outside, then it's bugged. So whatever phone the NSA is using, whatever devices, whatever it is there's a tendency for it to be bugged from a country of interest that want to be able to. So if I provide a solution to it, there's a way I'm going to put that. If you don't have the technology to know how to reverse engineer that technology, which is what the Iranians oftentimes will do. They buy from you, but they reverse engineer the technology. The Chinese does the same thing. They buy from you, they reverse engineer it, so that you don't get to know or see things that your country's spy agency will utilize as a vehicle. We saw what happened with Hezbollah, how the Israelis were able to bug their pagers. And in a day, I mean, hundreds of persons were killed, you know, because of that. So Nigeria needs a national security policy and a national communication security policy. Those are two different, you know, needs. Then we're able to not only just having that designed, they might have something, but let it be that it trickles down to our primary schools, which means the least person in this country should understand responsibilities required as regards to fire and safety drills.
Right.
What are the basic things to do? What are the first responders? They need to know. In primary school, they need to know what needs to be done. In the tertiary institution, they'll be able to take to that level where at every point in time, they know how to be able to relate. We saw recently that something happened which is not related, but people can come into this country and do anything they feel like doing and get away with it. You know why? Because when citizens get to see foreigners, we welcome them with open hands without understanding the security implications.
Yeah.
I have had calls to stop foreigners on the streets of Abuja.
And they know it. They know the
I have had
implications
calls to
of their
stop
own
them in
country.
certain areas that they get into, taking certain kind of devices, to stop them on my own, you know, personal resolve, because I understood what was going on, and I stopped them. And I asked them for the first thing, where's your permit to do what you're doing? They don't have any.
But that's the
stories.
That's the government's responsibility, basically, to do that even from the checkpoints and the airports as it is. So if we don't have those structures as it is, it's going to be difficult for citizens even to interfere in that regards. Right.
There have to be structures for citizens to understand what needs to be done, so as to also interface or give the right information to the relevant agencies, so they can nip these things on the board. From the airport you come in, they know that you're followed. In the US, I mean, if you get to the US, they know that they follow you. If you get to China, once you land at the airport, they follow you. Because as soon as the first camera picks you, it distributes that to...
Well, it's more about our framework, I would say, because there's only so much that you can do as an individual. How many individuals you want to stop foreigners from getting into the country if we can't do that at the borders?
If you know what is needed to be done, it's easier to do.
You can.
But again,
that's information as quick as possible.
That's what
hold on, Victor, as quick as possible. How?
What do you say to? Right.
We don't have the infrastructure.
Right?
We don't have the infrastructure to call.
We have the resources, though.
We do, but the problem is the framework. Because
no, the politicians have taken the money.
So that's where the problem is right now. So we have...
It's also your fault, journalists.
How?
No, we ask the questions as much as possible.
You fail to call this to account. Why do we say that the media or the press or the journalists are what? The fourth
realm.
Why? Because when you have all of these different arms of government, the only person who is the ombudsman, who comes to call this to account, is the journalist.
You don't think that the journalists call them out enough?
No, I don't think so.
Let me tell you.
How many times have we taken the budget of this country, scrutinized the budget?
We did it here.
To see that what was budgeted for 2025 is not repeated based on lifespan.
Should I tell you something, Mr. Fynface? Yesterday we had a conversation here about INEC and the amount of money that is being allocated to buy materials for INEC. Right. And one of the things we said here, the materials that were bought last election, are they disposable? So disposable after one election, the budget increases the next election. These are questions we can ask. There's only so much we can do. There are also bodies that are responsible for questioning this in the higher realm, but they don't do that. Journalists can only lend their voice in activism. Yesterday, we spoke about the fire outbreak in Singa Market in Kano State. Again. Yeah. This is in 3 months, we've had 2 of these fire outbreaks in that state. Now, we came to find out that 20 minutes away from that, there's a fire service there that could have been able to intervene and at least stop a portion of the market from getting burnt. But it didn't. There's only so much a journalist can do. But they didn't.
Did you get to find out why?
We can't, first of all...
possibilities of sabotage.
Sabotage.
You know? Yeah, because there's also sometimes insurance fraud. If the first time the fire break happened, the government released some cash, some people could make some good money. It's an easy way to make money.
Okay.
So I can take up my goods and burn the place.
So did the government, is this government not supposed to investigate when it happened the first time? Government
can investigate only when they don't have interest. If they have interest, they can't investigate.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, the government is not one thing. There are people that have vested interest. Some of them have markets. They have shops in that market. And so if they, I mean, I don't want to say certain things, right? I mean, I'm a private investigator, so I do that.
Okay.
And there are certain things that we find out in the course of our duty that's alarming to the extent to which people go to want to make money through insurance fraud, through some kind of sabotage, you know, and it helps. That's why I said journalists need to be able to look beyond the news and ask questions and go deeper, find a lifestyle. You know, you have the Freedom of Information, you know, Act. You can apply to get to know somebody's account, what he makes per time.
Mr. Fynface, you speak as though you are not a citizen of Nigeria. No, I mean, because possible. You are fully aware that when these questions are being asked, you hit a brick wall because you won't get answers. We had budgets here, and budgets recounted how many times they had sent letters to the office or to the National Assembly to defend the budget that was presented before the House. They never get a response. Even when they escalate the matter to ICPC or the relevant bodies to probe this matter, it gets to a brick. Do you know how many litigations SERAP has right now? SERAP suing the government, SERAP suing different... It's a brick wall. It doesn't happen. So even if the journalist exposes the story, the onus still lies on the bodies that are responsible for escalating the matter. And if they don't, there's only so much a journalist can do.
Well, there's something I also know of the fact that people in government oftentimes get embarrassed and act on when they feel certain things are being said to the public. You saw that because of what RFI did, the DSS have filed a cybercrime, this thing against RFI. If it wasn't for public outcry, I don't think that would have happened. So there has to be a sustained, consistent approach to asking the government this basic question. I must give it a budget. I mean, there's one organization that came in and opened our eyes to so many things about the Nigerian budget. I've been always monitoring the budget for the past, since 2018 or so. I saw the inconsistencies and irregularities in the budget. Computers were bought last year, they're still bought this year. Decks were bought last year. So you get to some of these agencies. I'll give you one instance. There's a Ministry of Mines. You go to the parking lot. Under the parking lot, you will see some of these things, items that they bought a year before. They are still there. The next year, they're still getting another budget for the same items. So I saw that. It blew my mind. You go to National Assembly, the same thing happens. Sometimes, after these contractors have supplied these items, they are sent back to the markets to get their money at a discounted rate. So if you go to Zone 3...
And then we ask questions about audits.
I'm making mention of these things. If you go to Zone 3, you see some of these items being supplied to the government, back to the market, and they are being sold at a little cheaper rates, and all of that. This is what's going on in the country. Now, I'm giving this information, so let's go do our investigation. So we can call them to account. I just mentioned 2 ministries or 2 agencies of government. That's only but the few. There are so many in that regard. State House, the same thing. There's no way you can. So our national security is much more important than any other thing. In order for us to, go back to the topic of discussion, you realize RFI can do whatever he's doing now because he knows so much about the government. Because it was part of the system that resulted to this current administration. And the government of the day might not necessarily deal with him like they would do with an ordinary citizen, because they don't want to spill more. Where is Sambo Dasuki? Has anybody heard anything about his case? Why is it that his case is not as expected like those who have been alleged to have been, committed some kind of infractions, either corruption or embezzlement? Why is his case not as that in the front burner? That tells you something about the country.
Well, you're still looking at El-Rufai's case right now, Yvonne. Now the EFCC has invited him, right? And beyond the cybersecurity that he, of course, infringed on the right of the NSA, just like he stated, basically. Now the EFCC invited him, one as well for allegation fraud, whilst he was still in office, over 400 billion naira. And the EFCC made a statement, said, they've been investigating this matter since 2024.
Excuse.
And it's only going to get to a period of time before they can invite him. Now the question I'm asking, the question I'm asking, was he picked up now, or is he going to be arrested to shut him up?
Well, see, shutting him up is something that is secondary in the sense that what they're trying to do, in order not to weaken the support of the citizens against the government, they have to take this kind of steps so that citizens don't begin to doubt their followership of the current administration. So what they will do, okay, let's pick him up. They will release him. Ordinarily, they wouldn't have released him. Ordinarily, if it was a normal citizen, he would have been there to ask him to bring somebody to come and bail him with some kind of conditions. I've gone to bail someone in the FCC, and they asked for different documents and all of that. So how was it that it was released so quick? You notice also the DSS filed, as stated, why was it not invited? Questioned, interviewed, then maybe kept like they normally would do for a period of time, because they know it's more like a time bomb. And he knows what he's doing. He's doing all of this for the purpose of destabilizing the government. So in their smartness and smart move in terms of their security architecture and analysis, they are looking at it and how to manage it in such a way it doesn't snowball beyond what it is now. So they can tolerate him to the extent with which his nuisance value is, but at the same time, they're also going to be sending messages to the general public that some other person cannot do what they're doing.
Yeah.
So when you see someone going mad and nobody's saying anything, understand that people who are not saying anything knows what he's doing and do not want to escalate the issue.
Know what he wants.
Yeah, they know what he wants, so they don't want to give him that, but at the same time, they don't want other people to begin to. It's when it becomes so embarrassing. They'll take certain. He also said they've been investigating since 2024. When did El-Rufai leave office?
A long time now.
El-Rufai left office 2023, right? No. 2020, 2019.
That's Kaduna State, yeah.
2019. No investigation. When it was good, when it was in the good books, nothing happened. Big moment he started talking, allegations started coming in. The State House Assembly is supposed to have investigated, come up with a report, submit it to the EFCC, and EFCC, all they needed to do is to verify the report, then prosecute. They don't need to go through this photo, thing. All they need to do is to invite him. Where you fail to show up, decline wanted, then you can actually take the right actions to pick him up.
Mr. Fynface, globally, we see that surveillance has been misused for political advantage. An example of that would be the United States and the Watergate situation, where surveillance was used to get information from the political opponents. Now, in Nigeria, you mentioned that El-Rufai had done similar thing while he was in office. Allegedly so. Yeah. You allege that he had done something of the sort while he was governor of Kaduna State. He has also tapped the phones of people, opponents, because he needed to preserve his administration. Now, do you think that Nigeria's intelligence community is sufficiently insulated from politics? Because if we continue to see this, and you have made mention time and again that he has hit a nerve, and that's why he's being held accountable on different fronts, the allegation of fraud, and now the tapping of the NSA's phone, and all of that. Do you think that is sufficiently insulated from politics?
Well, you see, no, it's not. There's what they call any government in power in most of the security, in fact, in all of the security, communities. And it's a sad thing. I know I've said this here some time ago in one of the interviews that we had, that the appointment of the DGSS, the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Defense, the IG of Police, shouldn't be the sole responsibility of the President. Okay. It should be the endorsement or the appointment of the National Assembly. So there has to be a vote. Okay. To ensure that his removal or whoever that is appointed as remover is not something that can be done by the President just like that, right? If that is not done, we still have what you have today. You notice that every appointment that is done, their loyalty goes to the President. That is why it's still political. Those appointments are supposed to be apolitical. Okay. You're not supposed to be the DG of SS and your loyalty is to the President. Neither are you supposed to be the Chief of Defense Staff, your loyalty to the President. The President is one of the persons that ensures that the country is in good shape. Okay. So your loyalty is supposed to be first to the country and the country alone. Right. It is so doing that you can hold the President to account. If he's deviating, the President cannot tell you to do something. There's a story going around on social media about Yaya Bello, allegedly so, that somebody who had flogged him when he did wrong when he was young, he picked him up, asked his DSS to follow the person and somebody was in. They picked him up, they've not been able to find the guy name today. Onimisi, the name was mentioned. Now, why was that possible? Why would the DSS do that? The DSS knows that they cannot just pursue someone, but because the loyalty is to the governor first. Why? Because of the benefits, economic benefits that he will get. Ordinarily, it shouldn't be so. When Yaya Bello was declared wanted, he had all the apparatus with him. He had police, DSS, civil defense, army with him, but they declared him wanted.
And none was withdrawn.
No, but none of them, not even withdrawn, not even arrested him. Right. Ideally, once you're declared wanted by the state, every security agent with a warranty has a right to pick you up anywhere. Yeah. Irrespective of your status, once you're declared wanted. Okay. That's what it is.
That's
But
right.
unfortunately, what do we get? So the political, permutations and benefits that comes with it makes it difficult for these people to be isolated. International security community is not isolated from political givers, especially when for every employment that's need to be done, the president have allocation, senior president have allocation, all of the state actors have allocations.
So it's less about the people with competence and more about the people.
So that's why we don't find our recruitment. You don't have, professional recruitment. You always have people who are mediocres in those places of engagement. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Prince Kevin Fynface, for joining us on the conversation
It's a
today.
pleasure.
We have to wrap it up right here and now.
Thank you.
It's been an amazing conversation so far.
We should do more of this.
Certainly. All right. To wrap up this conversation, let's just hear what Victor's thoughts are. He always will ask of my thoughts, so let's ask of his today.
I think it's important that we overhaul the security architecture, right? Just like our guest has said, we have more people that are mediocres, than professionals in the security sector, and it's a thing of concern. If it is true that the phone of the NSA was hacked by El-Rufai,
I don't know why we still find a way to doubt this, because the person came on national television and he said that.
El-Rufai is the one who said that he
said
did
it.
that.
Yeah, he
right?
said he did that.
Do also recall that
What
this
other
guy,
evidence do you need?
He said, there are two sides to the story,
just,
right?
just.
He said he tapped. NSA said he didn't, and he made allegations as per, the things that he also found out as it is. And of course, they debunked that. But if that is true, that tells you how vulnerable that the security architecture in Nigeria is. It means that anyone can actually get to hack, the system of our security architecture or security agencies and do whatever they want to do with the information that has been provided. Whereas we see our bandits and terrorists flying around in our country, Nigeria, and they're moving almost to an extent freely, and nothing is really done so much more to ensure that these guys are being taken away from our society. We need to make sure that our security agencies are more fortified, to ensure that they cannot be hacked easily.
Remember yesterday when we on the human angle story where we were talking about how certain jobs cannot afford certain mistakes, and this is just one of them.
Of course.
Rather than fill up the seats with mediocres, we need people who actually know the job and who can perform. This is not a job you take on and you learn on.
No.
It's something that you actually know and you should work on based on what you know.
Of course.
But like you said, this shows the fragility of our security infrastructure. If it is true, it shows how vulnerable we are to the attacks, or to many more attacks. Because think about it, how many more people's phones are being bugged? Is the president's phone bugged? Is the vice president's phone bugged? These are people, exactly, these are people that make high-level decisions for the country.
Right.
So if their phones are tapped, what is the future of the common man? Like yourself and myself.
Right.
I mean, so it's important. Let's not pay our attention on bullying people with this access to surveillance that we have. Because someone speaks against the first lady, they are picked up, bullied, taken to DSS and all of that, speaks against a government official. This is what we see. But where we actually need this to be deployed, we don't see that happen there. But it's a call to the government, it's a call to the necessary bodies to sit up, to ask the right questions and take the right steps towards ensuring that the data of the people of Nigeria and their lives and properties are equally also protected. And this is where we wrap it up. But before we go, we remind you that we're active across social media platforms, on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, and on TikTok. It is at Rapid TV. On YouTube, it is at Official Rapid TV. And our website, www.rbnradiotv.com, allows you to connect with us from anywhere in the world. My name is Martha Alu, and I will see you tomorrow.
My name is Victor Arke. We will see you tomorrow.